I wanted to come on this episode of Liverpool Latest today with hopefully some good news for you guys. Unfortunately, that is not meant to be. The good news for me, anyway, is that I didn't have to sit through this slog of a match like many of you had to. I was at work and I could not have access to the Champions League matches, unfortunately, at the time. And due to that, I think my mental health might actually have improved. But having to rehash everything that has happened in the game is going to make me miserable again. I really don't know where to begin with this. I've seen the highlights, and highlights are going to be highlights. Like, they're going to show the high points of the match for both teams. But in reality, it seems like from the general consensus of what I've read from fans online, this was probably one of the worst performances we could have ever have put on. Not even this season. Like, it's like amongst the worst performances. Like, when you think we go low, somehow rock bottom finds an even deeper level. I would also argue that it's like Groundhog Day over and over again. The same style of play, the same poor performances, just an all around dreadful watch, according to many of you who thankfully inform myself of what's happening in the match when I am not able to watch. Galatasaray, which apparently that is how you say it according to some of the commentators I was listening to. Galatasaray is, from what I understand, a very subpar team in the Champions League. They're fine. They're not great, but they're fine. And somehow, some way, they continue to beat us in the same sad scenarios. Can't create anything offensively. Hell, we were even defending poorly, which I'll get to in a few minutes. I mean, I can't. The fact that we conceded a goal against Mario Lemina in the 7th minute and not another soul scored a goal afterwards, at least not one that counted, is goddamn pathetic on both sides. Galatasaray probably could have scored multiple goals on us had they stood. And Liverpool had some good chances that unfortunately did not reach the back of the net. It seems like they were reaching everywhere else on the goal side. So, multiple goal kicks, absolutely poor shots. Some of them were great. Like Galatasaray's keeper had to make some very good saves. And that is pretty much where it is. We just could not beat the keeper. But Mamardashvili unfortunately conceded a goal, which I feared would happen anyway. And I'm not sitting here and going to shit on him because he did the best he could this match with the time he was given to prepare for it. I think the team around him let him down. Just some quick stats before I continue here in the video. 15 to 11 shots in favor of Liverpool. We had one more shot on target than they did, 6 to 5. Possession was about split 50-50. Judging by the highlights, I can probably see that. Pass accuracy was 79% to 74 in favor of Liverpool. Galatasaray had less fouls, 16 to 12, in favor of them. They had less yellow cards. One of them happened to be the one yellow card they got actually was one of their players that is now suspended in the next match because of that yellow card. But somehow we had 4, which I'm not sure resulted in any suspension as far as I know. Offsides, 2 to 8 in favor of Liverpool, which is an insane number. 8 offsides. That is crazy. And Galatasaray had 7 corners to our 4. So, all in all, on paper, looking at these stats, it was a very uneventful match. Very boring. Very sad. And yet somehow we could not score a goal on them. I saw a comment on the highlight video I watched. And I'm going to read this comment because I think this pretty much sums up Liverpool's play, not just in this game today, but throughout the entirety of the season, playing against the likes of inferior opponents like Wolves or Galatasaray or PSV or whatever the fuck. The Liverpool players look completely disinterested in playing hard or focused football. They look disjointed, unfocused, and have been complete shells of last year's performances. It makes zero sense. Thank you, commenter, for pointing that out. What the fuck was that performance, guys? A team that doesn't even use low blocks, and we were doing a pretty good spreading them out for shots on the net, and we still can't score, and yet somehow, some way, we also allow them to get us on the back foot and create chances because of very, very, very poor defending. From the Lamina goal, I'm pretty sure they marked every single person in the box that could have scored except him, which is very telling. Set pieces, right? The story of the season. Some good, mostly bad. What the fuck was Konate doing all match? A lot of the chances that Galatasaray had were because of Konate's poor defending. That man put on a goddamn stinker. An absolute stinker of a match. Have no clue where that came from. You can honestly make an argument that the best players on the team were probably Mamardashvili despite conceding, because really it wasn't his fault, and Virgil van Dijk, who did a lot of good defending that match. Those are the only two guys you can probably point out that had solid performances, or at least half-decent performances. Everybody else, very poor. I mean, maybe Dominic Szoboszlai too, because he had a couple of good shots, but not great. Not great. Just very poor. What I also don't understand is, in addition to our very, very poor play this game, why wasn't Arne Slot playing certain players that have been proving to been very useful for us throughout the course of the season? No Rio, which I didn't necessarily expect, but it seems like he never even got on the field to begin with. No Curtis Jones. Apparently Curtis Jones was fuming on the sideline, from what people said. He must be angry, or he looked like he was fuming. I don't really know. It's kind of lost in translation whether or not the camera was on him, showing him what's going on. If I was Curtis Jones, I'd leave in the summer at this rate. I know I did a whole thing yesterday about how I wish they would sign him, or at least they would give him an offer, at least partially of what he's looking for. Honestly, if I felt as absolutely unappreciated as Curtis Jones has throughout the course of the season, and especially as of recently because he's been doing quite well for himself, I would leave in the summer. I'll take the next best deal that somebody gives me at this rate, if I'm him. Rio, I didn't expect him to start, but I didn't expect him to not play. It seems like he never played at all. What's even more shocking is Cody Gakpo didn't start. Yes, Arne Slot's golden boy did not start in today's match. He did sub, but he didn't start. So it's like the tale of two slots. Doesn't play the golden boy, who clearly doesn't perform very well. He had one good shot that I saw in the highlights. But yet doesn't decide to play young, upcoming, clearly very good talent. Never giving them a chance to show themselves on the pitch, or at least getting them more play time that they deserve. I am seriously at a loss for what we are going to do come the second leg of this series against Gala. Thankfully, we're only down by a goal. All right, this could have been a lot worse. This could have been at the very worst 2-1 in favor of Gala. Okay, I don't know if that goal was an offside. I couldn't really. I was too busy like fuming at what I was watching. I was too busy fuming at what caused the goal to begin with. But thankfully, it was offside. The goal that was called off for Liverpool with the handball. Yeah, that wasn't going to stand. So this could have been 2-0 today. We could be very behind right now. So thankfully, we have a little bit to work with. The problem is, I don't think we're going to do anything with it. And that is my take on today's match against Gala. As if today's news could not get any worse, it's like getting repeatedly kicked in the balls over and over again. I'm talking straight balls, no shaft, all right? It's just straight in between the two. We draw Man City for the FA Cup in the quarterfinals. A team that has absolutely embarrassed us all season. Let's also remember, this is probably one of the worst Man City teams we have seen in quite some time, if not very recent memory within the last 5 years or so. They're abysmal. They are garbage. But somehow, they always seem to do well against us. And now, we play them away in their stadium. And some people are even questioning whether or not this is a conspiracy against Liverpool in favor to get Man City to win the title. So, is it rigged? Probably not. And are we all going to be miserable on the day of that match because we know exactly what's going to happen? Yeah, we're going to be very miserable. This is going to suck. And I mean suck. And here I thought the FA Cup was probably one of our only hopes this season. This news could not have come at a worse time. And the sad part is, it came before the Galatasaray match. So we got double screwed today. Just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Last but certainly not least, I want to touch on a rumor I saw. Something I came across my feeds. And I don't think there's any weight to this, but the idea of it makes me a little bit happy, given today's performance. According to Foot Africa, apparently there is a preliminary agreement reached between Liverpool and Xabi Alonso. According to Miguel Serrano, the Spanish coach has reached a preliminary agreement with Liverpool FC to take charge of the team starting from July 2026. Does this mean that Arne Slot is on his last legs and they are already seeing the writing on the wall and saying, listen, thank you for giving us a title, but these performances are clearly not it, which they should have said a long time ago? I don't know. I want to believe that this claim is real. This is the only thing giving me hope into the summer. As a matter of fact, sack Arne Slot now, put Steven Gerrard in charge, and let's just have a fun rest of the season with no expectations, because clearly we are not going anywhere. No titles, no cups, no nothing. Just do it now. I don't know why it's taking them so long. But obviously, this is from sources that are not necessarily major outlets or big reporters. It's not like The Athletic or BBC or Sky or Times or none of that. So, the fact that top journalists, are not breaking this story first is quite telling and leads me to believe that this is bullshit, even though I want it to be true more than anything in the world. But clearly, as long as Xabi Alonso is out of a job because of his stint in Real Madrid, he's going to be constantly linked to Liverpool, as he should. He's got a lot of history with the club. He's won a Champions League final with them. In my opinion, it's still the perfect match. Get him now before somebody else does. If Slot's future is as fragile as everybody is led to believe at times, then just make the call and end the pain and suffering now. But they won't do that because they have their heads up their ass. Instead of making the right call that could potentially save the season, or at least make it a little bit more bearable. And that is all I have for today's Liverpool Latest. Thank you for joining me. Leave a like on the video or the podcast wherever you have the opportunity to. Comment your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. And last but certainly not least, subscribe and follow the channel. Breaking news, rumors, match results, the whole 9 yards. I talk about it every single day. I will see you guys on the next episode. I'd say you never walk alone, but these results to these matches are certainly leaving us feeling very, very alone. Like I said, it's like Groundhog Day, or the definition of insanity. Or both. See you guys on the next one.